Okay, I'm very excited to start this series with you, reading Plato in the original Greek to the best of our ability, or should I say analyzing Plato, sticking completely to what is going on in the language. Why? Is it because all that matters is language? No. I like to teach, and sometimes teaching involves tangents, and tangents come from the Latin tango, meaning to touch. So it means something that touches upon the main point. So a tangent is not irrelevant. It touches upon the main point in a way that if you don't understand the main point with nearly as much depth. What I like to do is treat each sentence like a puzzle and see how the pieces fit together syntactically based upon morphology. You see, morphology is the shapes of the puzzle pieces, the endings, the declensions, the conjugations, and the various types of words that qualify the main essential parts of a given sentence. In other words, adverbs. So adverbs are syntactically superfluous for the most part. Prepositional phrases are always adverbial. Adverbs obviously are as well. Does that always mean that adverbs qualify verbs? No, they do, but they also qualify adjectives and other adverbs. So look out for that. What I do with adverbs is I put them in parentheses. From the very beginning, I've marked things up in a systematic way that tells me something, and hopefully it tells you something. So let's get right into it. Hoti men himes o andres athenaioi, pe ponthate hypoton e mon kategoron uk oida. All right, what is the main verb of this sentence? That's what I always look for first. Now, not when I'm reading. When I encounter some Greek prose, I can read it in the order in which it was written. Not always. Maybe 70-something% of the time. But the other 30% I need to kind of look around and survey the terrain. Hoti men hume soandre sathainaioi. Right away I see that this is vocative, and don't ask me why, but from the very beginning I have put vocatives into triangular parentheses. Hoti men hume pe ponthate. What you humes is unambiguously nominative, and what I do is I put nominative, I underline, single underline nominatives, and the main verb. Okay, so humes pe ponthate. What you suffered or experienced, right? Now the hoti, whatever. So it's really, if you want, some of the texts do that. Isn't that nice? But let's do it just for the fun of it. Ho timen himes o andres athenaioi pe ponthate. What? Okay, so this covers the what, and then the T covers the ever. Isn't that cool? So there's how you say whatever in ancient Greek. Hoti. So whatever men, there's the infamous men and day construction, which translates literally as on the one hand and on the other hand. Or I should say, on the one hand, ... on the other hand, ... Okay? Now, I was taught to ignore men and day, pretty much. Certainly not to translate them, but rather to understand that what is going on is a contrast. On the one hand, on the other hand. Not this thing and this thing. That would just be a kai. Okay? That would just be an and. All right? No. On the one hand, this, and on the other hand, that. I like that. So let's translate it. What you suffered. Athenian men. Hypotonemon kategoron, by my accusers. Now, every prepositional phrase in the entire universe is adverbial. I put adverbial things into parentheses. By my accusers, or from my accusers. In other words, with respect to my accusers. Every preposition means with respect to. Did that blow your mind? So if you get lost in how to translate a given preposition into English, or whatever language, just fall back on with respect to. So with respect to my accusers. Now, we will change that later. But isn't that easier than freaking out about which preposition you have? Nah, hang in there. You'll get it. All right? So let's figure it out. Whatever, on the one hand, you Athenian men, O Athenian men, that's another thing that we were taught to ignore, but I like the O's. O Athenian men. You suffered, perfect, second person plural, from my accusers. What you suffered from my accusers. I don't know. All right. So that's another main verb. All right. Uk obviously is adverbial. Now let's just play around a little bit here. Oh yeah, that's right. Hoti. We'll put them together again. Now, not to be too cute. All right. And we will double underline this one because that's the direct object of pepomphate, isn't it? You suffered what from my accusers? At the hands of my accusers, with respect to my accusers. I don't know. But I, however, the de means but, the un means however, and the ego means I, yet however, or but however, forgot myself. The genitive going with this verb meaning to forget. And oligu is interesting and hard, difficult. It's a genitive of separation, barely not. So separated from it by just a tiny bit. That's the idea. I almost forgot myself. The oligu here means almost, if you must have an English equivalent. All right? What's beautiful about ego is that it's unambiguously nominative. And that tells you it's the subject. Now the dun, adverbial material. Autos is nothing but an intensive. Will go along with the ego. I, myself. Hypauton, by them, or at least with respect to them, from them, whatever it turns out to be. Oligu, almost. Forgot myself. Now, here's some interesting stuff. You notice I put a mautu in parentheses. It's adverbial. It's not a double underliner because it is not a direct object. And yet, it serves as a kind of direct object of forget, doesn't it? Forget myself. However, for the ancient Greeks, to forget oneself is not to forget oneself in the accusative, but oneself in the genitive, which means oneself indirectly rather than directly. Directly would be accusative. To forget myself. I forgot myself. In English, that's accusative. In Greek, it's genitive. There is a lot to this. Okay, lanthanomai is an interesting verb, especially when it's linked up with epi as a prefix. Huto pithanos elegon. This is very interesting. This is a parenthetical statement. Okay? So I'll put that in square brackets. It's kind of a parenthetical statement. And it's huto, so, or thus. Pithanos, okay, persuasively, related to patho and pathomai. It's also adverbial. And elegon would be the subject and main verb, elliptical subject, they, he meis, elegon, huto pithanos. Okay, let's play around a little. You ready? Okay, here's the deal. Let's have some fun. Let's get rid of all the adverbs. Don't be scared. Let's be shameless. Let's be shameless and get rid of all the adverbs. All right, in my book, vocatives are adverbial. Sorry, bye. Prepositional phrases are all adverbial. Yuck. Negations are all adverbial. Yuck. Hegel would like that. All that nonsense is a yuck, a big yuck. Now, I'm being facetious because it's beautiful. But when it comes to the essence of a sentence, it is obstacle. Hypauton, by them, I don't care. I don't care from whom or by whom when it comes to the essence. Delete, because it's adverbial. Oligo adverbial. Now, here's where we get to the fun part. Are we going to be purists and get rid of a mautu because it is adverbial, despite the fact that it serves in the same capacity to the verb forget as it does for us? That is, as a direct object that should be represented, if it's truly like us, in the accusative, but isn't. It's in the genitive. So look what happens. Boom. Now, I forgot. For us, we think of ourselves as immanent, easily perceived, and analyzed. For the ancient Greeks, it was outside the sphere of the direct object. The genitive is the circle of the Venn diagram, and the accusative is a circle within it, in relation to another circle within it called the subject, the nominative, and so on. And so the essence of every sentence is the subject and the predicate. Sorry, I know you hated that part of English class, so did I. I know this is halfway blasphemous, but I'm going to engage in a spoiler to jump ahead syntactically, to cheat in a way, to demystify the first couple of clauses before getting to the part of the sentence that gives away something that, had you known it when you translated the first few clauses, it would have made things much easier, and I'm going to do that for you right now. And that is this. Eidoxen moi tuto. This seemed to me to be most shameless of them. What is this tuto pointing to? Syntactically, deictically, if you will, to this stuff. All this stuff. So what you really have is this. All this stuff, this, to me, seems to be most shameless of all of the things. If not, or better yet, unless, indeed, they call badass someone speaking the truth. Amen gar tuto legusen, for, gar, if, on the one hand, they say this, I would, potential optative, agree with them that I am an orator. And here we have a really important difference between the ancient Greek and the English that we're going to render it into. And that is this. Two things are going on. Two machines operating simultaneously, if you will. ukata tutus, not kata tutus, according to these men, not in their manner, enai rhetor, to be a rhetorician, a eloquent person. The way we're supposed to translate it is something like, I would agree that I am an orator, but not according to their style. But do you see how different that is from what we have here? I would agree, not according to their style, to be an orator. And the not according to their style carries a semantic weight that the English translation doesn't, because of the weirdness of the phrase. In English, it feels awkward. It doesn't feel semantically routine the way it is in the Greek. And that matters in terms of what is received by the reader, what is allowed to be part of an understanding of the overall fabric of the sentence. On the one hand, therefore, these men, hosper ego lego, as I speak, neither a little nor at all the truth do they speak. That's crude English. It's the order of ideas. Now, let's turn it into something like English. Hutoimen. On the one hand, therefore, these men, neither a little nor at all, speak the truth, as I do. Humestemu accuseste passantein ale theon. On the other hand, you will hear from me the entire truth. Umentoi ma dia, o Andres Athenaioi, ke kalie pe menus ge logus hosper hoi tuton remasite kai onomas in ude kekos me menus alakuses the eke legomena tois epitich usen onomasen pistuogar dikaya enai ha lego kai medes humon prostoke sato alos udegar on depu prepoi o Andres te de te halikia hosper merakio platonti logus es humas esi enai. All right, let us demystify it. Not indeed, by Zeus, O Athenian men, by prettying up words, as do the logoi of these men, nor ornamenting by means of words or names. But you will hear things said by chance with words that happen to be stumbled upon. For I trust the words I speak to be just. Kai medes, and no one of you think otherwise. It's an aorist imperative. For nor would it be appropriate indeed, O men, for one at this time of life to be fashioning words into you, then asienai, to come and do that. Now, in English, that's kind of cheating, referring back to what you just said. But in the Greek, the asienai is kind of a surprise. Okay, so that's the order in which we translated it. But if we want to turn it into somewhat decent English, it would be something more along the lines of, for nor indeed would it be appropriate, men, for one at this time of life, hosper merakio, I forgot that the first time, like a teenager, to come and form words into you. That's what it literally says. Now, it's probably translated speak words to you more generically by most translators, but it literally says what I said. Kai mentoi kai panu o Andres Athenaioi, tuto humon, deomai kai par iemai, okay, and mentoi kai panu, and indeed, even altogether. I mean, like, seriously, what I'm about to say is hardcore the facts. O men, O Athenian men, tuto. Now, here we go. Here's another tuto. Okay, so we got the tuto, humon. This of you I ask and beg for. If, diaton auton logon acuite, you hear me answer by means of those words through which I am accustomed to speak in the marketplace, in the presence of the banking tables, where many of you heard me defend myself, and elsewhere. Do not be amazed, nor make a giant noise because of this. I think that's enough for now.